Hi, I'm attorney Tammy Saltzman. Welcome to Divorce Connection Network. Today I'm here with an accountant, Warren Freistat, and he is with us, and he is the Director of Litigation Support at Bristol, Rosen, and Goldenberg. We are so excited to speak to Warren today about forensic accounting. Welcome, Warren. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Tammy. I'm happy to be here with you this morning, and hopefully I'll be able to provide some helpful information and tips to our viewing audience.
I just recently met Warren through a very dear friend, Rob Rosen from Bristol, Rosen, and you just recently joined the accounting firm, and it's been a pleasure. I've heard great things about your work. You are based down in Aventura, is that correct?
I am in the Aventura office. I do, however, work out of the Boca office when required.
There you go. So Palm Beach, Broward, Dade County. Tell our audience a little bit about what a forensic accountant does, Warren.
Well, forensic accountant is very analogous to the forensics that you see on TV with the medical examiners, except for the fact that we're working with numbers and not with bodies. Particularly in the divorce area, which we're focusing on today,
yes,
I would like to talk about the fact that not every divorce case is required to have a forensic accountant retained. The forensic accountant in most divorces is going to be helpful in gathering the information pertaining to the marital estate regarding the definition and valuation of assets and liabilities. We help the respondents in terms of completing their required financial affidavits and other mandatory disclosures. We're very assistant to the attorneys as it relates to what production or documents are required for us to be able to reach our decisions and judgments and be able to express opinions to a court of law if necessary as it relates to various financial matters within the divorce proceeding. I'm happy to say that most of the time these cases settle in mediation, and we're not faced with having a trier of fact make the decisions and trying to determine which one of the forensics on either side of the case is more credible than the other.
Right. Well, I always think of a forensic accountant when someone comes in and says, my husband owns a business, or we own a business, and they don't know how to value the business. Or sometimes I think of a forensic when someone says, my husband works for himself and, he doesn't take much income. That would be another alert to me that I might need a forensic accountant.
We're retained in many instances in those two specific examples that you just provided. It's really wonderful when both spouses are in the business together because we are able to glean a great deal of information from the spouse who we're representing as it relates to the habits within the business, as it relates to various spending that goes on in terms of personal expenses, albeit possibly tax deductible, but still being run through the business and therefore reducing the personal expenses that one has to support their lifestyles. We do a lot of work in the lifestyle analysis area, and much of which is trying to identify those types of expenses that are being run through the business that should be added back to the payor rather than the recipient of supports, actual money that's available to make payments for either child support or for alimony.
There you have it. So sometimes for tax purposes you want to, show as little income as possible, but when you're looking for alimony and child support guidelines, you might want to impute back income into the bottom line so that the monies that are available to be calculated are greater for more support for the spouse in need of that support.
That's correct. And one of the other points that are very important that you hit upon was the actual valuation of a closely held corporation. In order to establish the totality of the value of the marital estate, when a small company is involved, one needs to go in and do that valuation. In the state of Florida, we're very limited as to the types of valuation methodologies that we're able to use because unless there is a non-compete agreement already in place that would be enforceable to the owner of the company by a third party, then we're basically relegated to using net book value. So when we're adding back some of the items of income that are being taken out of that company in the form of personal expenses, that's increasing the net book value of that corporation or entity as well.
Okay, good. Another time that I think of using a forensic accountant is when we can't find money. When we think that perhaps some money is being sent offshore, or perhaps money is being put into a hidden account, or maybe sometimes there's two sets of books instead of one set of books, and we want to find the other set, so to speak. So would that be a good time to hire a forensic?
That's the most appropriate time to bring a forensic in. We are trained to be able to trace assets in the form of money being transferred either offshore or being hidden here in the States, even in safe deposit boxes or in other bank accounts. As I said, if the non-moneyed spouse is not employed in the business with the husband, they really are not going to be able to have the information to provide us as to what direction we should specifically be taking. But we do find in many instances that couples are living well beyond their alleged income that they're producing on tax returns, and that's a signal that there is money available in the form of cash or currency or other types of bartering that's going on within that business environment.
Yeah, I sometimes see on a tax return a number, and then I look at what the private school is costing, and I'm like, clearly there's got to be something not right with the numbers. I think couples, when they hire an attorney for a divorce, they minimize the value of that financial affidavit, and that turns out to be the most important document. Even after it's amended to reflect correct numbers, the prior one that was filed is sometimes reflected back to find lies, to find miscalculations.
We get involved when we're able to do so, and it's based upon primarily budgetary constraints, but to do a financial affidavit properly for either one of the parties, one really has to do a lifestyle analysis. Where was money being spent over the last year to 18 months in this intact marriage, so that we can determine what the expenses were that were being paid and what were the source of the funds that actually were being used to pay those funds. We find many times that the payer of the responsible party for payment of alimony in a case will have deficits on their financial affidavit relating to their gross revenues minus all of their expenses. And we would like to know how those deficits are being funded. Has there been an increase in credit card debt? Have there been borrowings? Have there been gifts from family members that would keep this family ability to make these payments on a current basis?
Speaking of family members, I quite often find that when we go into the books of a small business, we find quite a few family members on the payroll that really don't belong there. You know, they're somehow getting monies without actually showing up and doing work in the office, and it's a way to diffuse income and lower taxes and to provide for family members.
Well, part of the examination that we do in our job as a forensic is we do site visits to various businesses. Within those site visits, we will interview various employees to determine what their actual job duties and responsibilities are. And oftentimes, we'll find, as you just indicated, family members who are being paid for doing nothing. We add that back to the actual bottom line of the business so that we're able to recalculate what the amount of actual profits and value of that business is.
Warren, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. Thank you so much. And I will put on our website a link to Crystal Rosen and Goldberg so that if you want to reach Warren, you can. They'll have an email address for him and the website for the firm. And we look forward to hearing from you again in the future. And stay tuned, because next we're going to have Mark on, and he's a private investigator, and he helps CPAs locate assets.